I've had it tough, whatever. This woman was blind and deaf and dumb, but she learned to speak. Her only regret was that she felt she couldn't speak quite properly, and she felt sorry for the audiences. But I mean, they could understand what she was saying. But what an incredible story of this woman. And I just would advocate it. There's a video, a film, a DVD somewhere. I think I've got it, called The Miracle Worker, which was a stage play basically based on her autobiography. And then this video was made obviously many years later. And I saw this once, and I saw it a couple of times. It is really excellent to understand what the emotions that she and Anne went through when initially Anne was trying to communicate with Helen. So yeah, it's a great story, Helen Keller, and I advocate it for anybody who's interested in what can be achieved if we're brave enough, and if we allow the spirit within us to do the best things we can do. So yeah, what's your view of Helen Keller,
Well,
Cuz?
I think it's really inspirational. Um, I think it's really, really inspirational to think that, excuse me, despite the odds that life is basically thrown at her,
Yeah,
she was still able to not just exist but excel in in life.
absolutely.
Yeah, to excel in life and to find to find that she really explored her boundaries and sort of broke them down. It's like there's no boundaries in my life, and then there's us that is able-bodied. Sometimes we cry
Mm,
about the simplest things. Oh, oh, I've got
yeah,
this this condition or whatever, and it seems to be something that we seem constrained by in our efforts to to excel in life. But there's somebody that has not one, not two, not
mm,
three disabilities, but was able to excel despite
yeah,
the odds. Like I said, one thing stood out for me though. I mean, we're talking about Helen, and when I looked it up and I saw Anne Sullivan, and the role that she played, can you imagine how difficult, how challenging
mm,
that must have been for her to to start to explain to somebody that she knows this is not you teaching in a normal environment.
mm,
It's totally out of the norm. And in those days, they didn't even have. I doubt if they have enough. If they had enough visual aid to for to the teaching. So it must have been crude teaching, like you
mm,
wrote a book. There was no tablets. There was no electronic devices that you could use to say, well, to paint a picture or to draw an illustration to help the student. It was just all,
mm,
proper classroom.
mm.
Yeah, I'm lost for words. Um,
Incredible.
it
Yeah,
is. It's truly
and
incredible.
I didn't actually add that. I think I said it last week, but you mentioned her achievements of what she did and so on, writing the books and traveling the world. But she actually, after her education with Anne, although they remained friends for the rest of Anne's life, and then obviously Helen died later. But Helen did. She went to Radcliffe College in Harvard. She went to Harvard, which is one of the Ivy League universities in America, and
Mm.
actually she passed her BA honours degree cum laude. Cum laude, which I think is Latin for with distinction. She actually got a distinction in her degree. I mean, can you imagine?
Wow.
She must have had well a brilliant intellect to be able to not only cope and to learn about life, everything about life, and understanding philosophy, concepts, and all sorts of things without any trace of bitterness. But she had the most incredible achievements education-wise as well. And I don't know about you, but I think it's another great story is the story of Anne Frank, the
Wow.
Jewish girl who was hidden with her family in Amsterdam during the war because they were Jews and they were being hunted by the Germans. And
Wow.
I don't know whether you've ever read the story of Anne Frank, or again, there's a film about it. It's a most incredible story. She was a young girl, I think, of 13 when she went into this hidden part, this annex in a house in Amsterdam, and she kept a diary, very well written. You can in books you can read her diary, and they actually made a film of all that. But she became a published author, which was always her dream. Sadly, she died just before liberation. She was finally, the family were caught and arrested and sent to a concentration camp. Her father survived. And it's perhaps a story we'll look at in another week. I don't think we've looked at it before. But my point there is that sometimes in life, there are people, in this case, Helen Keller and Frank, whose stories live on, you know, almost forever, I suspect, because what they did, what they achieved was mind blowing in various ways. And for those things to happen to Anne Frank, as I say, it's a great story to read. I actually
Mm.
went once they've got a museum of the house where she was hidden in an annex with her family. And it's now a museum there. And you go up the stairs, and there's a bookcase which went across the landing. And you'd never know there was like more rooms up there where the family were hidden by the very nice family, the Dutch family, who risked death if they'd been found. I don't think they were shot when the Germans actually found them, but somebody had tipped them off a couple of years later. Anyway, that is a very good story. But there are sometimes stories about people, and you look at it, and I sometimes think, yeah, that person was almost put in that situation for a reason. Why? To inspire us, to tell us that, most people have a reasonable life. We have ups and downs, pros and cons, but there are difficulties. But when you think of the difficulties that some people have faced and
Mm.
come through in an incredible way,
Mm.
then yeah, I think it's inspiring for anyone who cares to read those stories about these sorts of people.